Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today we're going to be talking about a tropical low expected in the Gulf of Carpentaria and the current tropical low that's offshore from Queensland. And then we're going to go over west, and talk about the tropical low 08U that's expected to impact the West Australia coastline later on in this video. If you are brand new to the channel, then please consider subscribing, and if you haven't already, leave a like on the video while you're at it. So you can see on the satellite imagery, we've got a tropical low situated in the Coral Sea. It's about 180 nautical miles offshore from Mackay or Rockhampton. That's about 350 kilometres towards the northeast of Rockhampton, and it's delivering a little bit of rainfall ashore. You can see this here on the radar imagery. There's actually some very heavy showers offshore right now, impacting some of the Coral Sea islands on the Whitsundays around Airlie Beach as well. And I've cited comments about people that are watching these videos on yachts around the Whitsundays, around Airlie Beach down towards Mackay and Wide Bay, and that is because is quite a populated area, and they're expecting quite a lot of rainfall as well throughout the course of today and tomorrow. I've been saying in recent updates that Wednesday and Thursday, definitely the chance of getting up to 50 or 100 millimetres in some locations here, especially between Mackay up towards Bowen and Ayr. And we'll take a look at that on the rainfall forecast right now. We'll use the Axis G3 because it is a convective forecast model and it does a great job with thunderstorms, but we will be using the Eastern Reef exclusive for tropical cyclones and tropical lows later on in this video. The Eastern Reef and the Axis G3 very similar in the amount of rainfall that they are expecting. So the good news is the rainfall is going to stay offshore. It's not going to make itself very close to the coastline. If there's any rainfall around the coastline, it's going to be right on top of the coastline. It won't penetrate more than 50 kilometres inland, which isn't good for central Queensland because they are desperate for a significant amount of rainfall about this time. By Thursday morning, it looks like you're going to see some shower activity extend right up towards the coastline, but it should only be light to moderate showers extending between Mackay down towards, I'd say Hervey Bay at this point. But yeah, especially the further south you get, Hervey Bay, Fraser Island, and up towards Bundaberg and Rockhampton, you could be expecting a little bit of rainfall there, but it's going to be nothing in comparison to the tropical low that we're expecting up in the Gulf of Carpentaria, which we'll get to in just a couple of minutes. Now, you might be able to tell that this storm is a dying system by Thursday and Friday. It looks like it gets swallowed up by a monsoonal low that's going to deepen over in the eastern extremities of the Coral Sea towards Vanuatu and New Caledonia, and it's going to get pulled away from Australia, but still the showery activity on the central Queensland coastline will persist in light to moderate showers through Thursday, Friday, and then into Saturday, and then should move further north or dissipate completely by around Sunday. And the rainfall pattern then moves up towards the north around the Cape York Peninsula and the Gulf of Carpentaria, where a very significant amount of rainfall is expected to occur over the next sort of 4 to 8 days, I would say, or 4 to 10 days. We could be seeing some locations pick up to 500 millimetres. The really significant rainfall totals that I was talking about a couple of days ago, which I was still uncertain about around the Cairns, Innisfail sort of area, that's completely dropped off. We're still expecting up to 200 millimetres there, but it's nothing compared to the 400 or 500 millimetres that I was expecting just a couple of days ago, which would add to the flooding emergencies that they're seeing in that area. Now you can see Sunday we're seeing this tropical low start to really develop. That's the Axis G3 model. We're going to use the Eastern Reef model here. The tropical low is actually still just a monsoonal low located over Darwin and the northern parts of the Northern Territory, Arnhem Land, and it's really not making much effort in wrapping itself up right now. I mean, it was looking okay this morning. It does have a little bit of spin to it, but it's nothing special right now. You can see some easterly convection or easterly moving convection on the southern side and some westerly moving on the northern side. But I mean, wind's still very light, about 10 kilometres from the west and then about 10 kilometres from the east as well on the southern side. So it's really got to do a lot of work to really blow itself up at this point. It's not looking too healthy as a tropical low, but it does have about 3 days until it gets itself over the Gulf of Carpentaria, where it will likely quickly develop, might even rapidly intensify as well, and will likely become a tropical cyclone Saturday evening into Sunday morning before making landfall on what looks to be the Queensland Northern Territory border in a very similar spot to what Cyclone Lincoln did. It would have been about a month ago now. Now, I did say that the further west that this system moved, the better the rainfall situation would be for far northern Queensland, and it is a westerly trending system. We were expecting this to move through the Cape York Peninsula, make landfall around here, probably around where Burketown or Croydon was. Laterally speaking, I know Croydon's a lot further inland. I think it's just down here. But now we're expecting it to make landfall closer to the Northern Territory. But you still can expect a significant amount of rainfall starting from Saturday evening, persisting all through Sunday, and then through Monday as well for Cairns, sort of Innisfail, Lucinda, down towards Townsville area. So Sunday and Monday, expect a very wet day there. And the heavy showers will continue through Tuesday and Wednesday, hopefully easing off by Wednesday and then into Thursday as well. So Sunday and Monday, expect 100 millimetres on both days, especially for locations between Port Douglas down to Innisfail and Tully and Lucinda. And then Monday, expect the rainfall to move a little bit further south. It will be southern Cairns or south of Cairns that receives the worst of the rainfall. And then Tuesday, Wednesday and into Thursday, it's just going to be that light to moderate to maybe even heavy shower activity that's going to be spread all around the Cassowary coastline. And if we were to look at rainfall accumulation over the next 10 days, 300 millimetres looks like the absolute upper echelon of the rainfall that we could be expecting. Widespread 150 to 200 millimetres can be expected, especially for locations between Lucinda up towards Port Douglas. And then the northern parts of the Cape York Peninsula expect a widespread above 100 millimetres, but that will last over a couple of days, so don't expect any torrential rainfall. It will likely just be moderate to heavy falls that are the problem for flooding up there, but certainly the Cape York Peninsula doesn't need any more rainfall this wet season. So any rainfall here is basically not good news at this point. It's had a very, very, very wet season. It's been normal compared to average wet seasons from the 60s and the 70s, but considering the impacts of the El Nino that we've had this year, or the La Nina El Nino flip, the really weird weather patterns that have been going over in the South Pacific, the rainfall has been quite unpredictable and quite weird this year, and it seems like the Cape York Peninsula has had the rest of Australia's annual rainfall total, which in some cases it actually has. It's had a ridiculous quantity of rainfall, that's for sure. Now, if we were to look at the Access G3 model, you can see they're still really flip-flopping, and this is an example of why I don't like using the Access G3 model, is because they flip-flop from forecast run to forecast run. Yesterday they were calling for very significant rainfall totals on the Cassowary coast. Now they're calling for next to nothing, around 50 millimetres or so. So that's just one reason why I don't like using the Access G3 model for cyclone forecasts or cyclone-related forecasts. Now, I feel like we've talked enough about tropical low 09U and 010U. 010U, that doesn't make any sense. 10U over in the northern parts of Queensland and the Northern Territory. It is now time to talk about tropical low 08U, which is actually a cyclone threat to West Australia. The models have been trending further closer to the West Australian coastline, and it now looks like a landfall is possible. We're going to have to wait to see what the Bureau of Meteorology has to say about this system properly, but it definitely looks like locations between Karratha down to Carnarvon need to be watching the forecast very closely, because this is a tropical cyclone threat. Now, if we were to take a look at the satellite imagery, you can see it's not an overly healthy system right now. It's got some decent convection blowing up around it, but it doesn't look too good, and it is struggling in the high wind shear environment that it's got right now. We're not expecting this system to develop until probably Friday or Saturday this weekend. And then it does slowly start to get its act together as a Category 1 strength system, properly becoming a cyclone by Saturday evening or Sunday morning. So I'll definitely be giving coverage on this system. I've got a free weekend for once, so expect plenty of coverage on this system as well if it does come ashore over Western Australia. And then, making landfall on Barrow Island and then in the Exmouth Gulf. It's a similar forecast to what we had with Cyclone Lincoln. It was first told that it was going to be a Category 3 strength cyclone, and then with every forecast it would just have 10 knots of wind backed off it every single day until it become a tropical low landfall. So again, I'm not really sure on what to call for this system. I want to see it actually form before I give an actual forecast in terms of location and landfall intensity. But it looks like Monday you could be expecting a tropical cyclone come ashore between Karratha down to Carnarvon. It will likely be a weak system, Category 1, maybe Category 2, most likely going to be a tropical low at least at this point, but we'll know more details on this system when it actually forms, which looks to be around Friday evening, Saturday morning or Saturday evening. So there'll be an update once this system forms and gets named regarding all of the details about what this system is expected to be doing, and it looks like it's going to deliver more rainfall as well to the goldfields if it does get itself over the goldfields, which is interesting because that is certainly rainfall that they do not need at this point. Man, it's been wet, and it's been a very, very wet week there. 500 millimetres for some locations. That's some devastating rainfall, and it's going to cause some significant damage to roads and infrastructure in the goldfields and also in the southern interior of Western Australia. Might be some welcome rainfall for Perth, though. Hopefully we get some more thunderstorm activity next weekend. Still hanging out for a little bit of rainfall. I can't be complaining with how the rainfall has panned out so far this month. March typically get around 10 millimetres in Perth. We're already halfway there, so had some good rainfall so far this month for Perth, but nothing crazy, that's for sure. And it'd be great to see a tropical cyclone deliver 50 to 80 millimetres for Perth. That would be some very welcome rainfall indeed, that's for sure. The details of this tropical cyclone making landfall still very unsure. Like I said, we're going to have to wait and see until it actually forms, until we can give a proper forecast on this system. So I'm sorry to be a pain here and not be able to give the details, but if I give details and specifics, then they'll change, the system won't form, and then it's a very bad forecast to give. And I don't want to be the one that's called out for being unreliable, because these forecasts generally do perform quite well. But it still looks like the chance for tropical low or tropical cyclone coming shore around Exmouth and Onslow, the chances of that very much increasing at this point. And by Friday, it looks like there'll be a definite answer regarding what the system is expected to be doing. Anyways, around Australia, nothing else too interesting. We're definitely looking out for more rainfall on the New South Wales coastline, so this will definitely be receiving some coverage should it happen. Looks like some thunderstorm activity later on next week, actually a run of severe thunderstorms Wednesday, Thursday and Friday as we head into autumn, associated with a subtropical low moving down in the southern parts of New South Wales, so we'll be watching that and giving coverage on that as necessary. But apart from that, nothing else too interesting happening nationwide. We're definitely moving into the quieter months of the year as winter approaches. That basically does it for the forecast. If you are a channel sponsor, thank you so much for the recent support on the channel. Still at 9 sponsors. If you can get the number up to 10 and give generously, that would be much appreciated. It keeps the channel afloat with all the software and the editing software and so forth, microphone as well. So thank you so much for the recent support on the channel. It's been much appreciated. Leave a like on the video and subscribe as well, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.